Washington here at times resembles the middle school playground. The values are about the same, as to say being popular in Washington almost objectively does not make you a good person. Trump's senior counselor Peter Navarro and Elon Musk's public clash over tariffs resembles two bullies vying for attention from the class's prettiest girl. Musk's stream of insults, including calling Navarro Peter Retardo on social media, are not the united front the White House needs right now. In fact, it's the opposite of what they need. Musk also wrote, Navarro is truly a moron. What he says is demonstrably false. And Tesla has the most American-made cars. Navarro is dumber than a sack of bricks. Musk then went on to apologize to bricks. These posts come in reaction to Navarro's interview on CNBC yesterday.
We all understand in the White House, and the American people understand, that Elon's a car manufacturer, but he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler in many cases. If you go to his Texas plant, a good part of the engines that he gets, which in the EV case is the batteries, come from Japan and come from China. We want the tires made in Akron.
The Navarro versus Musk debate might as well be Navarro against President Trump's entire cabinet and most Republican members of Congress. Playing kindergarten teacher today was White House Press Secretary Caroline Levitt.
These are obviously two individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let their public sparring continue. And you guys should all be very grateful that we have the most transparent administration in history.
Oh, journalists love it. Let me tell you. With us now, Steve Moore, former senior economic advisor to President Trump. Steve, it's good to see you as always. Isn't the dirty little secret, maybe even it's not a dirty secret, sort of a little secret, is that Donald Trump loves nothing more than watching his staff fight grudge match style, gladiator style in the media?
Well, I was thinking, when you showed that clip, and look, I don't like the low blows, from one to the other, but, one of our greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln, had, a cabinet which was, a team of rivals, essentially, that fought all the time. I think it's healthy for a CEO like Donald Trump to have people who don't always share the same opinion. I've been in the Oval Office many times with Donald Trump, and he likes that. He likes the sparring. He likes to have different opinions, and that's quite appropriate, I think. And then, of course, at the end of the day, the president makes the decision, and that's what Trump does, but he likes to have people disagree. I don't know if he likes the public sparring, but it is, I think, not a bad way to govern, to get all sorts of people on different sides of the issues.
There is a intense dislike of Peter Navarro by so many, and I see you smiling as I say this. Here's Mick Mulvaney earlier about Navarro. Take a listen.
I would have fired him a long time. I would have fired him when he got caught making up his academic sources for his papers with his Ron Vara imaginary friend. But, I mean, that was Donald Trump's call then. It's Donald Trump's call now.
Navarro speaking about his, Mulvaney speaking about his time chief of staff during the first Trump administration when Navarro worked for him. What is it about Navarro and his sort of absolute tariffs, no negotiation, tariffs are the answer to all, that is so upsetting?
Well, let me tell you, I don't know Peter all that well, but I do know him a bit. I got to know him during the first campaign in 2016, and he was one of the original advisors on that campaign. I disagree with Peter Navarro on tariffs. He knows that. We get along fine. We have a disagreement, although sometimes he's thrown tossed some slings at me. But I do admire the fact, remember, this guy went to jail for Trump on trumped-up charges, and that's a pretty heroic thing to do. It really is. I don't know if I'd have the courage to do that, but, he obviously, it was outrageous that he went to jail. An economist goes to jail for president, but that was something that I think really stood out for Trump when you do that. And one thing, by the way, about Trump, because I've gotten to know him very well. I went through this whole thing when I was nominated to be on the Fed. If you are loyal to him, he will stay loyal to you. It's one thing I really love about him. He will stay loyal to the people who stay loyal to him.
To some, I think that's fair. Speaking of Navarro, and I think this is interesting because of how much flack Trump takes because of Navarro. Here was Navarro when he left prison to arrive at the Republican National Convention.
This morning, I did walk out of a federal prison. The J6 committee demanded that I betray Donald John Trump to save my own skin. I refused. I went to prison so you won't have to.
You think about Elon Musk, who clearly has a unique place in the White House. I think he's sort of the one person in that he is the richest guy in America that Trump looks at a little differently.
Yeah.
Fighting with Peter Navarro, I almost look at Navarro, tell me if I have this right, if this was the mob, he would be a made man.
Yeah. Well, listen, I mean, Elon Musk is one of the most impressive people I've ever met in my life. He's one of the greatest entrepreneurs who ever walked on this planet. So, you know, this is a contest between a giant and a midget, you know, in terms of their stature in the world. And look, I mean, he's a giant, and I'm a midget compared to him. I'm not criticizing Peter, but this is a guy who has transformed. Isn't he the richest person on the planet? I mean, you don't get that way. You don't build great businesses. I think he's built like 5 businesses without being super smart. And so I think that Elon Musk is a hero and a patriot to our country. I know a lot of my liberal friends don't believe that, but he's exposed enormous waste and inefficiency and fraud in our government. And I think that's a great patriotic act. And it has not been paid 1 penny, by the way.
Well, your liberal friends used to love Elon Musk. They just don't love anymore.
That's right.
You're back in the president's ear. You got to vote one off the island or out of the White House. You're voting Navarro out and keeping Musk, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question.
I said if you were back advising Donald Trump and asked who you vote off the island or out of the White House, you'd vote to send Navarro packing and keep Musk.
Look, I think Trump is, as I said at the outset, I think he's well served by having people with very distinct. Okay. Let me just make one other quick point. You know, I think people are blaming Peter Navarro, and incidentally, the president knows I don't always agree with him on his tariff policies. I do agree with some of them, but not others. But, you know, I think people are blaming Peter Navarro for really expressing the views of the president, frankly. I mean, if you don't like these policies, don't attack Peter Navarro, go after the president. And I think that makes it a little bit unfair. I mean, he is there for a reason. Trump likes a lot of his views on things.
Yeah, Navarro's a Democrat from California, was a labor guy. He always talked about tariffs, tariffs till the end of time. Donald Trump's been talking about the tariffs since the 1980s, so there you go. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.